Alright, welcome to my GSXR 750 rear tire removal video. First we're going to take a pair of vice grips and we're going to bend the cotter key down and out of the way, and then we're going to pop the cotter key up out of the axle. We're going to take our 36mm wrench socket, we're going to put it on the axle nut, and we're going to break it free. Next, we're going to knock the axle out. We're going to remove that spacer and then drop the chain off so we can pull the wheel out later. Now on the other side, we're going to pull the axle out, and then we're going to carefully remove the rear brake caliper. We don't want to hit the rear brake caliper on the wheel. It'll scratch it very easily. Also, when I pull the rear brake caliper off, I want to lay it on the outside of the swing arm. That's why I throw the towel there, so I can rest the rear brake caliper off the side of the bike. Once we have the wheel removed, we want to pull the sprocket off and remove the push drive from the inside of the wheel. If we left that on, it would be too wide to balance it on the computer balancer. We're going to cut the valve stem off of this one. I hate those wheel weights. They will scratch a wheel every time. You should ask your dealer not to put those on, to use the stick-on wheel weights. I always replace the rubber valve stems with the steel valve stem. It's more or less just a safety measure for me. And when the owner of the bike comes back in a couple months to get another set of tires on, all I have to do is replace the core. I don't have to replace the entire valve stem. The steel valve stems are only about 50 cents more than the rubber valve stems when you're buying in bulk. I also use the 45-degree angle valve stems, but those run close to $15 each, and a lot of people don't want to spend that extra $15 on top of getting their tire changed. They don't see the benefit. I like the 45-degree better. It just makes it easier to get past the brake rotor on the front tires. When you're doing Michelins, you always want to line up the white barcode on the bead with the valve stem on the wheel. Other tire manufacturers use a red dot or a white dot, sometimes a yellow dot on the sidewall of the tire that needs to be lined up with the valve stem. Most bike manufacturers rate a rear tire with a 180/55 at 42 psi. You put in whatever the hell you want, I don't care. Most bikes ride a lot better with 42 psi, 36 in the front. You should always go by your manufacturer's specs. There should be a sticker somewhere on the bike that tells you what your tire pressure is. Now we're going to put the push drive back into the wheel, and then we're going to put the sprocket back on. We're going to take our spacers, we're going to clean them up and get them all debris free, and then we're going to put a light coat of marine grease on the spacer. That'll keep the water from getting between the spacer and the seal, keep it a little bit lubed up. Also, I noticed a little bit of damage on the axle when I had it apart, where it looks like the bearing's been kind of rubbing on it. The axle is completely dry when I pulled it out, so I'm going to add a light coat of grease on the axle as well. It'll help the axle slide in and out a lot easier this time, and slide out next time when I do the tire again, and it should prevent any more wear on the axle where the bearings might not be hitting it right. So once we got both the spacers in, we're going to roll the wheel forward and put the chain on the sprocket. And this is really a pain in the ass, so if you have two people, if you have an additional person to help you out, it'd be great to have somebody where you could line up the brake caliper and have them hold it in place while you lift the wheel up and line it up with the brake pads. Doing it alone, if you've never done it before, it's pretty difficult, and every bike is different. This bike was fairly easy to do, but some bikes, the way that they have the notch set up on the swing arm, it's really hard to get the brake caliper lined up with the swing arm and then get the brake pads onto the rear brake rotor. But once you get it all in place, the axle usually will slide right into the hole, and everything lines up just perfectly. Now the key with putting on the rear axle nut is don't go crazy torquing it down. I've seen people bring me bikes that the last person that's wrenched on them, they tightened it down so much that the spacers actually crammed the bearings into the wheel and locked up the inner part of the bearing. So your goal is just to get it tight. I mean, the wheel's not going to come off, but the nut's not going to come loose because you got a cotter key holding it in place. So just snug it up, line the hole up on the nut with the one in the axle, put your cotter key in, and tap it into place. Finally, always pump the brake lever. Brake lever and the brake pedal, very important. Hope you enjoyed it. Please watch my other videos. And remember, ride Western North Carolina.